I'm not sure I can remember specifically what brought me to Swiss, but in the early days, I definitely remember attending an event, and it was a networking event. And it was to get us comfortable with networking and interacting with strangers. And we all carried around cocktail glasses, and each person we spoke to, we would get a marble. And it was one of the most welcoming and inclusive events I'd been involved in science. And it motivated me to understand more about what Swiss did and to become more involved. I have a background in biochemistry and genetics. I've worked at multiple biotechnology companies, and now I'm working at an international nonprofit organization. In the early days, I started at Swiss as a volunteer with the Strategic Development Committee. At the time, Swiss had a lot of partnerships that we were considering. So one of our major roles was to put together a framework for evaluating potential new partnerships. We also were very involved in working with the various board members in setting strategic goals, both in the one-year time frame and longer time frame. After that, I took on the role as a director on the board responsible for strategic development. And following that, I worked with Make Possible, specifically the Make Diversity Possible project. So I was the director responsible for liaising with the program manager and program committee for that. My thoughts on women and girls in STEM is a bit of an awkward question. Women and girls deserve just as much of a role in science and STEM as anybody else, as men and other gender diverse individuals. I'm disappointed by the lack of progress I've seen in my career. I feel like in the 80s when I was in school, we were doing a lot of let's get girls excited about science. And at the time I was already excited about science, and I didn't feel like I needed to be encouraged to be more excited about science. And it's disappointing to me that we seem to still be in the same situation. I want to instead see governments and organizations focusing on building scientific organizations or encouraging science within other organizations that is an equitable environment for all women in science, and particularly not white privileged women in science. We need to think not just about women and girls in STEM, but we need to think about the more marginalized women and girls in STEM. We need to think about what is the role for trans women in STEM. What's the role for gender diverse kids in STEM as well. I guess my message for Swiss and people who really want to work with women and girls in STEM is to pay attention to the leaders in the climate justice movement. If we're trying to support women in STEM, we can't just be thinking about the older privileged people in STEM. We need to be thinking about the next generation. And if you're involved in resource extraction in terms of engineering, you are impacting the future generations on the planet. And I would like to see organizations like Swiss really looking to those youth-led and indigenous-led organizations to support them and build coalitions, build and support those movements in order to build a better future.